Now, the second dish is, in fact, it's a mixture of flavors. We're going to serve it on Tuesday in a meal that we're preparing. Now, one of the most famous things in Mexico is the mole. Mole really means sauce. In Mexico, there are many different kinds of moles. I don't know whether there's 7 or 10 or 15 versions of mole. The city best known for moles is Oaxaca, but Puebla is also famous for its moles. And it's basically a mixture of different ground ingredients. There are chiles, of course. It can be just one chile. It can be fresh chiles or dried. There are nuts. There's peanuts, almonds, walnuts, pine nuts or pistachios. There can be chocolate, not always, though. There are spices like oregano, bay leaves, cloves, and anise. So in other words, these are very complex sauces, very complex. They are spicy, but at times they are very often sweet too. There are often fruits too. There can be raisins, dates, or prunes, or there can be fresh fruit. Pineapple, peaches, bananas, for instance. So with this, we're going to serve this in a commemorative meal where we want to use both French and Mexican ingredients. It's going to be a date mole. Now, for want of time, the mole has already been made, but it has dried chili, it has lots of nuts, lots of walnuts, a bit of cinnamon, and dates. Why dates? Because in Monterrey there's a great deal of Arab influence. They eat a lot of dates, and they grow a lot of dates in northern Mexico. So we're going to make this mole, which is picante, which is a little bit sweet, and I think that dates add complexity to it. We're going to make a sauce with foie gras. You all know what foie gras is. Foie gras is a product which, of course, is not native to Mexico. It's only eaten in very sort of conventional or French restaurants. So what we did is to take a bit of foie gras and make a puree with mushrooms, seasonal mushrooms, which gives us a slightly thick sauce, rather mild, but with foie gras flavor. The mole is a date mole. It's also rather light. And we have duck breast. We're going to begin with the duck breast. The other ingredients that we have, we have guavas. In Mexico, they're a lot smaller. In general, they're about this big and rounder than this. It looks like a different fruit, but it is a guava. And they tend to be sweeter than that. This one is a bit sourer. What we do is we cook it in a bit of water with a bit of salt, and when it becomes softer, we smoke it with a bit of mesquite wood. We smoke the puree a bit. So therefore, you have something which is both sweet, slightly sour, and also smoky. And then we make a brine. That's the conventional preparation that we made to preserve products. It can be sardines, or it can be vegetables or chicken. So this is a preparation with a lot of vinegar and some sort of aromatic herbs, such as, well, in this case, oregano. And then we have a sweet ingredient, which is the guava. But we also have a slightly acidic aftertaste, which we can get from, for example, a carrot in brine. And then we're now sautéing the duck breast. We take a knife and we score the skin. We don't cut through to the meat. And that will help to drain the fat out faster. we seal it on both sides, a bit longer on the skin side, so the skin will be as thin as possible and a bit and have be a bit crusty. Now then, what we do with the mole, this mole is warm. It's a bit lighter than what we usually get with mole. We have the sauce for the mushrooms and a bit of foie gras. Here's the guava puree, slightly smoked. And we have this carrot puree. A bit of roasted carrots, a bit of onions that are slightly seared or charred on the outside. You can see that the skin is really marked. What we do in a restaurant is we put this in an oven, which makes it easier to cook it evenly. And you don't have to burn the skin. Another thing that we do is when we bring out a big piece like this, a big breast or a big piece of meat from the frying pan from the oven, is we let it rest for 5 to 7 minutes in order to make sure that the juices will go back into the meat. If you suddenly cut it while it's hot, a lot of the juice will drain off onto the cutting board. What we do with this is put a bit of salt on it. We serve this with tortillas. Small tortillas, freshly made.